on Prime Crime.
My mom's bleeding out. I can't get her up. I need to get her to the hospital with someone.
We're gonna send an ambulance.
She doesn't have time. She needs to go now.
A frantic call to 911 after an argument turns fatal.
There is just incident after incident where anybody looking at this in hindsight is thinking to themselves, dear God, how is this allowed to continue?
As the story unfolds, the past begins to surface.
She thinks that I'm like psychotic, like literally psychopath, sociopath, something like that. She thinks I'm gonna kill her.
What seems like a tragic accident soon raises serious questions.
She said, "Let go of my hair, you're hurting me." He opened the door and pulled her in.
Ultimately, the truth, or something close to it, would be determined inside a courtroom.
I'm not a psychopath, I'm not this murderer, I'm just trying to peacefully leave or peacefully coexist.
There comes a certain point, ladies and gentlemen, where that last drop of blood came out of her, and she died and left this earth knowing that her son butchered her.
Hi there, everybody. I'm Jesse Weber, and welcome to Prime Crime, where we break down some of the most compelling and memorable true crime cases from across the country. A teenage son, a mother fatally stabbed, and a desperate call for help initiates a death investigation in Southwest Florida that is anything but straightforward. And it leads detectives asking, was this simply a mistake, a deadly pattern, or something else entirely?
911, what's the address of the emergency?
Yeah, I don't know the secret address. My mom is talking to you EMS now. She's bleeding out. Please help.
September 8th, 2024, 17-year-old Collin Griffith calls 911 to report that his mother, 39-year-old Catherine Griffith, is bleeding out on the floor of his grandmother's Polk County home.
I can't get her up. I need to get her to the hospital with someone.
Okay, listen, you called 911, so we're gonna send an ambulance.
She doesn't have time. She's bleeding out. She's failed. She doesn't have time. She needs to go now.
Where is she bleeding from, sir?
She's bleeding from the neck, man.
Is the blood spurting or pouring out?
No.
Okay.
She's everywhere.
What caused the bleeding?
She got real tight and we weren't getting it and she fell on it.
When Colin first calls 911, he says that he's essentially attacked by his mother, that she had a knife, that she fell onto it and stabbed herself. By all accounts, the 911 call does seem that Colin is in genuine emotional distress.
Who did she get in a fight with?
She came out and we got real tight.
Is she awake?
No, she's unconscious. She's not responding.
Okay, is she breathing?
No, she's not. I don't think she's alive. There's no more blood coming out of the wound. She's lost it all.
Okay.
I'm trying to save her.
There will be some people who say he does not sound emotional enough. There will be some people who think that he sounds emotional enough. Usually that's not something that carries the day in a criminal case because it's really difficult to play Monday morning quarterback on somebody else's emotions in an emergency.
Law enforcement shows up, EMS shows up, and with every neck stab wound, there's a lot of blood. You have major blood passageways that go through the neck. The blood spatter is just horrific. They find Kathy in a large pool of blood.
But it's too late. Catherine is declared dead at the scene.
As the cops arrived, Colin takes the fifth. He says nothing. So it's statements on the 911 call, end of story. He invokes his rights. Colin says she fell on it, but we don't know what happened.
They have to secure the scene. That's always important. Also to look around, photograph the scene. Is there signs of struggle? What kinds of signs? You try and get devices, DNA analysis. They may do cell towers. There probably wasn't much of a dispute as to how the two individuals got to that house. But the more methodical and the more careful that the investigative team for law enforcement is, the better the body of evidence that they're going to have.
Right away, something about Colin's story isn't quite adding up.
The autopsy is done, and the medical examiner evaluates the wound, and his conclusion is there is virtually no way that somebody could fall on a knife and have this type of deep cut laceration. This is way, way, way more likely to be the result of an actual human being attempting to cut somebody's neck.
This wound went through her trachea, her windpipe, it went through the food pipe, it went through her carotid artery, and you could see the floor through the wound. So this is not some mere glancing blow. This is a massive wound to the side of her neck.
Catherine's death sparks a criminal investigation, setting off a flood of uncertainty. Detectives turn to those closest to Colin and Catherine.
My parents were both military officers, and my dad was horribly abusive. Kathy, she was about 13, and Chuck, her ex-husband, just latched onto her. Kathy started running away to be with Chuck. We found out that she was pregnant shortly after one of her many runaway incidences.
So they end up getting married, and she's married at a really young age, 14. He's what, now 17, 18 at that point?
No.
How?
He was 19 when he got her pregnant at 13. I hope I'm painting a real good picture for you. Listen, there's no good guy in this story of Collin Griffith's life.
This case has no shortage of strange, kind of extraneous details that go along with it. Kathy Griffith had children very young. Colin was not her first child. She was 14 when she had her first kid.
Growing up, it was a little difficult because, you're being raised by teens. My mother and father were both teachers. A little before Christmas, 2019, my mother and father decided to split. As far as I knew, my mother signed away her rights completely with my brother. My father took my brother, and I decided to stay with my mom.
She was split from her husband. He was in Oklahoma, and she was down in Port Charlotte in Florida. Susan Detman, his grandmother, lived in this place called the Hamptons, a 55-year and older place, where ultimately, the incident occurred at Auburndale, about 2 hours away. She wasn't there at the time. She was down at another residence she had in the Florida Keys.
We know from Kathy Griffith's social media page that she was not terribly out of the ordinary. There's a lot of pictures of her at the beach, at dinner, and there's nothing overt that shows she was excessively troubled or that she was really struggling with any big issues. We know that Colin spent about 3 years with his dad, living far away from Kathy, and by all accounts, that really troubled her. She wanted a relationship with him, and she seemed to be eager to get him back when he came back to live with her.
The relationship between my mom and dad, chaotic, I would say. There was allegedly my dad having an affair. Police always showing up at our house.
Talk to me about your relationship with Colin as you guys started progressing in age.
Just normal brother on brother stuff. Didn't really talk to him a whole lot.
So what was the catalyst of him wanting to move with Dad?
He was just afraid of my mom. He saw how, toxic she could be. Plus, he wanted to be near my dad's side of the family.
It really was a stormy relationship. Colin, he was already a troubled youth. This child, I think, is clear, had real issues and problems perhaps of his own, but superimposed on the family relationship, which really can only be classified as toxic, that was really a formula for disaster here.
And as detectives dig into the family's past...
Is Colin your grandson?
Yes.
Where is his father at?
Dead.
The more concerning the details become.
What happened as far as the relationship between Catherine and Colin after his father passed?
So Kathy went to be with him in Oklahoma for 30 days. When he got here, In the beginning, it was fine. And then Kathy started harping on that he wasn't doing his chores, that he was being disobedient. He didn't want to do what Kathy told him to do.
So they start having problems, he comes here.
Yes. At one point, he said that he was just going berserk.
What happened to the point where Mom had to get him institutionalized? What happened for him to be Baker Acted or go to these facilities?
I don't recall. I really don't.
The Baker Act is for mental illness. The involuntary placement of someone up to 72 hours in order to see if they could be involuntarily committed as a danger to themselves or others.
There's so much to unpack in this, and investigators are now looking at all of this information and trying to piece together, how could this have possibly happened?
The relationship seems as normal as can be expected, a mother and son navigating life amidst difficult adjustments, until detectives begin to peel the layers and uncover an even more troubled past, revealing a series of other disturbing incidents, with Colin at the center.
Do you think your anger is fine?
Yes, it's just when someone attacks me, that's how I act.
That didn't happen though. I was there. He went after the phone, and the next thing I know, she's on the floor.
No, she hit me. She got on me.
I didn't see that, Colin. I really didn't.
His anger just was unbelievable. I said, your mama's going to lay down the law. I said, you want to be a Marine, you're going to have to learn. People are going to get in your face and make things. I said, you've got to learn to control yourself.
In the aftermath of Collin Griffith's unexpected death, investigators are closely examining the dynamic between her and her son, Colin Griffith, who says she died after falling on a knife during an argument. But the curtain is pulled back, revealing far more complicated aspects of the relationship.
The
summer of
23
is when they started not getting along.
Mm-hmm.
When we say issues, is it mother-son, like mother-child issues? Like what type of issues?
Not big issues.
Yeah, like typical everyday life that a mother and a kid would go through.
Yeah.
They
Don't
weren't
do the
putting their
dishes.
hands on each other.
No.
That's when the issues started, when he either Baker acted himself or she had him Baker acted.
Once Collin Griffith took custody of her son, it would appear she made every attempt to make up for lost time for those years that he was with his father. And subsequent to her taking him in, there started to be quite a few disturbances at the house.
Depending on who you ask, Kathy Griffith was either an unstable, violent, abusive mother, or she was a mother who wasn't perfect, but was trying to do right by her son, and she was making steps to try and impose some kind of discipline.
Does he have an issue with authority, like not wanting to be told what to do and how to do it? Like, I know she has his issues, like he's not doing chores, he's not listening to her, typical.
So, yes, because he never had to do anything before for 3 years.
So he's struggling with like the disciplinary part of being structured.
Right, exactly.
And then when he gets aggravated or doesn't want to follow those rules, how does he react to that?
Usually Kathy throws him out or says, you're grounded, I'm going to take everything away from you. Usually he would go to work or get in his car or close his door and play video games.
What is tragic here is that connection never happened. And I think what is clear in the exchanges is that, while her responses and interactions with him perhaps became increasingly violent or antagonistic, it probably shows a level of frustration on both sides.
What about knives or anything like that? Did he ever have any issues with knives? Or?
He took a knife from me one time, and I told him, I said, why do you have this knife? He said, I have it just in case.
In case of what?
I don't know.
Kathy's complaints about some of Colin's behavior are captured on Ring doorbell audio recordings.
I don't think you know how to scout the yard. I think you're weed whacking it instead of mowing it. Oh, and I love you, but in case you'd like to know, my ice maker is broken because of you. I started going through his room. It was a complete and total mess. He had everywhere. He didn't even go to sleep last night until 1 o'clock in the morning. I had dinner for him waiting that I had bought for him. And I said, Colin, you know what? You have a great life. The fact that you don't even do your own sheets. You don't even clean your own bathroom. All of the things that I've told him to do, chore-wise, he doesn't do. And he just looks at me.
We know that there were periods of time where Colin and Kathy were getting along. We know that they went on cruises. We know that she tried to give him, a quote unquote normal life. So it's really hard to know exactly what the day-to-day dynamic was. They clearly had blow-ups.
I love you, and I'm telling you right now, I already told Colin. I said, you leave, you do this, I'm cutting everybody off. So I'm changing my phone number. Because I'm sick and tired of this. This is I try to let him sleep in, try to be the nice mom, try to do everything, and he can just himself with his little AT&T phone and figure out what to do with life. He has a trust fund, he has a lawyer, he can figure that out. What's he gonna do, call DCFS and say that I kicked him out? Okay, fine.
And some recordings come from the day Catherine died.
He didn't show up to work yesterday, and instead, you wanna know where he went? The movies. And you know what he's been doing all day while he's at your house? He's playing video games, killing people. Hi, Colin, this is your mom. I am just calling you because I know you talked to Detective Lacey. You were explaining the situation, and that if you don't come home, you are going to be charged with violating your probation. So I'm just warning you, I am on my way to you to pick you up because you're not allowed to be a mama's house, and I have every right to come and pick you up.
Colin's move to his mother's home marks the beginning of multiple encounters between the Griffiths and law enforcement. One particular incident, nearly a year before Catherine's death in November 2023, provides a glimpse into their strained history.
Put your hands on top of your head, you're not in trouble. You just want to make sure you don't have any weapons.
I know you called Rentis for help, so I respect you for that.
There were periods of time where these two were at each other. Kathy was apparently attempting to institute a little bit of discipline. She was going to take his Xbox and his cell phone away because he wasn't following her house rules.
So, you put her in a headlock?
No, not a headlock. So basically it's like when someone grabs onto you, what you do to get them off of you is you go like this and then you can just dash away and get away.
But where did the knee come in and all that?
When she grabbed onto me and she started going at me, I just instinctively, like, my knee went up and I guess I hit her in the stomach.
There was some sort of a attempt by Catherine to reprimand her son or try and discipline her son. She said he reacted by throwing her to the ground, stomping on her. The grandmother witnessed it. He tried to argue it was self-defense and she said, no, it was not self-defense.
You can see how swollen my knuckles are. It's okay. He literally stomped on my hand to get the phone out of my hand.
Let me see the inside of your hand. When did that happen?
When he attacked me, in the past 20, 30 minutes.
We're supposed to go on a Thanksgiving cruise next Wednesday. And she said, and you're not going on the cruise. I'm going to try to find someplace inpatient for you.
What set him off mainly when she's like, you're not going on the Thanksgiving cruise?
Oh, yes.
And then he stood up and was like, let's do it.
No, after the Thanksgiving cruise, she said, and you being a Marine, that's not going to happen. You're going to end up in jail, or you're going to be a drug addict like your dad, unless you change. You have got to change. And that's what set him off.
Police then get Colin's side of the story.
I walked in the house with my grandma behind me. I then hung up the phone, put it on the kitchen table, and then we started eating. She got up and was looking at me. She was very upset that I referred to her as a psychopath and all that, and that she said that I have no idea what that really looks like and I'm about to learn. That's when we got in a bit of an argument. She told me to shut up. I didn't shut up. She hit me in the face. She grabbed onto me. I grabbed onto her. My knee went up, hit her. We were kind of tussling until I used a wrestling move that I know how to do, and that's when I got out of the house. And being arrested or detained?
At this point, you're being placed under arrest for domestic battery.
They gave me bracelets, but they said I couldn't keep them.
Oh, that's too bad.
After Colin is charged with domestic battery, he spends a night in jail. He's released the next day, but a second call comes just hours later.
So I'm out at Collin Griffith's house,
I know that you were called last night. I get a call from Joella this morning, who gets a call from the jail that he was released. He said, if you put me in the car, this is what he tells the jail staff, he puts me in the car, I'm gonna kill her. You send me back to that house, I'll probably kill her.
His statements to the police when he's basically being released from custody after he's arrested, he's afraid he's going to do something to her if nothing changes. That is a really telling piece of this.
He says those disturbing things, what I would classify as cries for help. It raises, first of all, a question, did the system fail Colin and fail Catherine as well? Also underscoring what are the limits of what a system can do in our interactions with each other, even family members. How intrusive can the system really be?
She thinks that I'm like psychotic, like literally psychopath, sociopath, something like that. She thinks I'm gonna kill her, and that I want to kill her, or that I want to beat the out of her.
Do you?
No, sir.
Okay.
I don't want to hurt anyone, let alone my mom.
When the jail was releasing you to your mom this morning, was there anything said then?
Yeah, I said that I didn't really feel safe there with myself and with her, and that I didn't know what was going to happen. I still don't know what's going to happen.
As far as what?
Her attacking me, or her doing something to herself or me.
Okay, what about you doing something to her?
I'm in a constant state of fight or flight, and I don't know. If I think she's going to do something, even if she's not, I might act.
He didn't want to be in that situation. He was asking for people to remove him. Now, he wasn't saying, I'm a killer and I'm going to go out there and kill. What he's saying is, our relationship is so bad, we're going to get into some sort of an argument or a confrontation that's going to end badly.
She thinks that I'm an emotionless, narcissistic, murderous.
Just gonna play some.
That's cool.
Yeah. Right.
This is the second time today.
Okay.
Is this an arrest or a Baker Act?
Is
The deputies decided to Baker Act him, to force an intervention, because they determined he was a danger to his mother.
He told the jail staff he wants to kill his mom. He's not staying here now. Because we want what's right for him, but we also want,
I know
but we
you guys are
have an
trying to
obligation to
protect
protect him.
I understand.
And protect him. We have to protect both. Because even though he didn't threaten to harm himself, he threatened to harm his mom. And either way, that
I know, he on me last night. I know.
And with all due respect, you can't have them here last night where you were fearful, and then 4 hours later, you're recording. Recording's not helping you when he chokes you out. And what's the recording gonna do? What's the recording? It's not bringing you back. You'll still be dead.
What we know about Kathy Griffith for sure is that she wanted Colin back with her, that they had a very fraught relationship, but she kept at it. She did not put him in foster care. She didn't try and give him up. There's a lot of discord. There is a lot of violence, and there is just incident after incident where anybody looking at this in hindsight is thinking to themselves, dear God, how is this allowed to continue?
If we don't do something,
Shame on us.
Yeah, then we're not.
Shame on us that
then
we didn't do our
failed.
job and we failed you. And I'm not failing you, nor am I going to fail your son.
The veil shrouding Colin's past begins to lift, and that's when we find out about what happened to Colin's father.
How long ago was your dad passed? Sorry to hear that, by the way.
7 months. He attacked me, my dad, and when he did, he tried to kill me with a knife, and then it was in Oklahoma, and he died. I shot him.
Real quick, talking crime like we do, if you are a homeowner, you need to listen to this. In today's AI and cyber world, the scammers, they are stealing home titles and your equity is the target. This is a real thing. This is how it works. So criminals forge your signature on just one document. They use a fake notary stamp to pay a small fee with your county. And just like that, your home title has been transferred out of your name. And then they take out loans using your equity or even sell your property, and you won't even know what's happened until you get a collection or foreclosure notice. I mean, when was the last time that you really checked your home title? If the answer is never, you need to do something about it right now. That is why we've partnered with Home Title Lock, so you can find out today if you're already a victim. Use my promo code PrimeCrime at HometitleLock.com. You will get a free title history report and a free trial of their $1 million triple lock protection. That's 24/7 monitoring of your title, urgent alerts to any changes, and if fraud does happen, they will spend up to $1 million to fix it. Go to HometitleLock.com, use promo code PrimeCrime. That is HometitleLock.com, promo code PrimeCrime.
You never had a conversation with him whatsoever about what took place. A part of you never wanted to know.
Because I didn't know how I'd react. Because if he just flat out admitted it to me, right? Like, oh yeah, I did it intentionally, I don't know what I'd do.
While detectives work to understand what led to the death of Catherine Griffith, they speak with Collin Griffith's brother Christopher, Catherine's firstborn, and Susan Detman, Catherine's mother, in the hopes of getting a clearer picture. But what they have to say is even more shocking.
Is Colin your grandson?
Yes.
Where is his father at?
Dead.
His father's deceased? Okay, what happened with his father?
He killed him.
Law enforcement finds out that he is living with Kathy because his father has passed away. And the reason that his father passed away is that Colin shot him 2 years or so before his mother dies.
How did that happen?
There were 23 guns in the house, and Colin felt threatened because I guess the father had a knife in his hand. I mean, I wasn't there. This is how the story goes. He had a knife in his hand. He got backed into like a wall or a corner, and all those guns were loaded, so he picked it up, and that was it.
Colin was living with his dad in Oklahoma. This one appeared to go into a pretty volatile relationship. His father was controlling. His father may have been involved in keeping him from seeing his mother as often as she should have seen him, maybe interfering in their custody arrangements.
My papa told me that something has happened with your dad. He's like, your brother shot him. I'm like, he shot him? Like, I'm thinking, okay, like, were they hunting? Like, was this like an accident?
He was 15 at the time. And the authorities there in Oklahoma thought that he had committed a murder.
During Christmas, my dad had made the comment that my brother had came out as bisexual or gay. And Colin did make comments about, you know, like him being gay and everything and how my dad reacted. And I'm like, okay, is he hitting you? Is he like doing anything? He's like, no, just he's not very accepting of it. But that was it.
He was initially brought in on it, but ultimately the district attorney decided that they couldn't disprove his claim of self-defense and therefore cut him loose. He's not brought to trial on it. It is considered to be a legitimate self-defense kill.
My mom told me that my dad had chased Colin with a knife, right? And my brother shot him. And I'm thinking, that's right? Like, my dad would never try to kill Colin with a knife. Like, it just doesn't make sense.
Right.
Okay.
Does she communicate with you about anything Colin may have told her or confided in her?
That he was supposedly being abused and my dad flipped a gasket, chased Colin with a knife.
The question then becomes, does that set of factors come into the second case that he had killed someone at age 15 and the circumstances of that?
Law enforcement is now looking at the situation and seeing we have a now 17-year-old boy who a couple years prior had killed his father in self-defense, has gone back with his mother, has been arrested for a domestic incident with his mother, and then she ends up dead.
Fast forward to the incident in September 2024. In talking with Catherine's mother, investigators gain insight about the day Catherine died.
Have you ever seen Mom put her hands on Colin?
I have never been there, but Colin says that she has. She spanked him with a belt several times. Then she made him do push-ups and hold a bar, like a weight over his head.
As a form of discipline?
Yes. On Saturday, she called me at 11 and said, I threw him out. And I said, you can't throw your kid out. Kathy calls me and texts me all Saturday.
Like yesterday?
Yes,
Yeah. Okay.
yes. I'm selling his car to CarMax. I'm disenrolling him from school. I'm taking away his computer, and I'm cutting off his phone.
There was a fight between Colin and his mother. Colin left the house, and he drove from their home to where his grandmother lived, and he was basically staying there to get away from his mother, and she texts threats, really, to Colin, that she's going to tell about some conversations he had that were damning for him with regard to the death of his father. She was threatening to take certain privileges, take certain property, things like that away from him. She gets in the car and she goes to him.
What time did she head up here today?
I think she started out at 2, maybe 2:30.
And that was because she was going to come pick him up?
Yeah, she said, I'm going to come and get him. I told Colin, your mom's going to be there. I said, don't touch her, be nice. Then they decided, okay. Colin even sent me a text and said, I'm going with mom.
And then they never responded back to you?
No.
When she gets there, she slams the door and she starts making enough of a ruckus that neighbors notice, at least one neighbor noticed. And as a result of that confrontation that they're having outside of the grandmother's residence, he grabs her. There's some confusion about whether by the hair, the shoulder, the neck, but pulls her in the house.
Investigators are trying to build a case that Catherine's death may not have been accidental. But is Colin responsible, or simply caught in the chaos of a night that spiraled out of control?
Colin made the statement that, I don't want to go home. I'll use any force necessary to avoid it, to include killing my mother.
What kind of conversation were you guys having for him to bring up how he wanted to kill his mom?
When she'd set down limits on behavior, he would not just rebel, he would become violent.
The walls are closing in on Collin Griffith. Investigators say they have enough to move forward and charge him with the murder of his own mother, and they're taking the case to a grand jury where an indictment could swiftly follow.
This has got to go to a grand jury. Remember, grand jury, now it's a different standard, probable cause standard, lower standard, than beyond a reasonable doubt. You just need to have probable cause that a crime was committed, the defendant committed it.
A lot of times minors don't get charged with the absolute hammer of murder in the first degree. It might be murder in the second degree, because there's a little bit of leeway given to people who, are effectively children. I think there's a decent chance that the history, both the domestic history between Colin and Kathy, as well as the history of Colin killing his father, both weighed in. And I think the witness statements of his actions outside of his grandmother's house weighed in. And certainly just the scene in the kitchen. This is a kid who's 17 years old, and these are very, very serious potential outcomes for a case like this.
A grand jury is convinced, and just 3 days after Catherine's death, Sheriff Grady Judd steps in front of the cameras, making it official. Collin Griffith is in custody.
It all started on September the 8th, which was this last Sunday, when we got a 911 call from Collin Griffith, who's 17 years of age. He said he and his mother had a very long fight, and she fell on a knife. When the deputies arrived, he was calm, cool, collected, not upset, and he had blood on him. The medical examiner said it is not reasonable or plausible that she died the way he said she did.
Florida is kind of notorious for charging juveniles as adults in adult court. Part of that is that if someone is charged as a juvenile, the state of Florida only has jurisdiction over them until they're 21. The only difference between being charged as a juvenile with first-degree murder and an adult is that juveniles are no longer eligible for the death sentence.
He's being charged with first-degree murder. Obviously, And we're asking the state attorney's office, it's their decision, but our state attorney's office is the greatest to prosecute him as an adult.
And so the next chapter begins as the prosecution's case is put to the ultimate test in front of a jury.
She gave everything that she had, including her life, to try to take care of the defendant.
You heard him on the Ring video and how he talked to his mom. Disrespectful, absolutely. But that doesn't make him a murderer.
This is an episode that we really wanted to bring to you, and one of the reasons that we can do that is because of the amazing support that we get from our sponsor, Morgan & Morgan. And let me tell you, they may be able to provide you the help if you need it. Why? I'm talking America's largest injury law firm. I'm talking about a firm with over 1,000 attorneys. Do you know why they're so big? Because they win a lot. Get this? They have recovered over $25 billion from more than 500,000 clients. Think about that. In the past few months, a client in Florida received $12 million after the insurance company offered just $350,000. Out in Pennsylvania, a client was awarded $26 million. That is 40 times the insurer's $650,000 offer. Another client in Pennsylvania received $29 million after being offered only $500,000. And even if you think your case isn't worth millions of dollars, why not just start a claim and fight for what you deserve? Morgan & Morgan, they make it so simple. You can start a claim from your phone in just 8 clicks. So if you're injured, you can easily start a claim at forthepeople.com/primecrime or scan the QR code on screen.
He said, I am so tired of these two. I'm disgusted. He said, my mom, I keep thinking over and over, I want to slit her throat.
In January 2025, Collin Griffith goes on trial. The legal battle between the state and the defense goes beyond guilt or innocence. It's a fight over the entire narrative of Catherine and Colin's relationship.
It was a Sunday evening, September 8th of last year in Auburndale, Florida. And it was at that time that the defendant viciously and savagely unleashed his full fury and hatred towards his mother upon her.
The trial itself has two very conflicting, very opposing narratives. You have the prosecution whose theory of the case is that Kathy Griffith, not winning any Mother of the Year awards, but certainly trying to do right by her kid, who is an emotionally damaged, abusive terror, and eventually killed his mother in cold blood.
Kathy was sick and tired of being disrespected, sick and tired of doing everything for her son, and basically told him, get out until you can show me some respect. He showed his intentions by his actions and by his words and what he said he was going to do. He was going to kill that evil bitch, his own mom. And so he did.
He's been violent in the past. When you look at his own personal history, I think the judge did a decent job of trying to permit the prosecutor to go into legally relevant evidence without going too far and making it unduly prejudicial.
The jury never heard who Collin Griffith killed in Oklahoma, but we all know sitting here today that it was his father. I would imagine that the prosecutor fought hard to get in the fact that it was his father that was killed. The judge ruled that no, you cannot say it was his father. You can only say that he killed somebody else in self-defense in Oklahoma, and then he moved to be with his mom.
The state calls a witness who knows Collin better than most, his grandfather, although he's not there to defend him, but rather to testify against him.
Did there come a time when the defendant said something to you that was very disturbing to you?
Yes. My grandson was very aggravated at his grandmother and his mother. He said, I am so tired of these two. I'm disgusted. He said, my mom, I keep thinking over and over, I want to slit her throat. I want her to bleed out. I want to smell the blood. I want to feel the blood. I want to feel the life and the blood leaving her body.
These are not normal statements. that a child makes about their parents. We can have arguments till the cows come home, but I think most people would agree, stating that he expressed a desire to see them bleed out. That's not just being angry and saying, I could kill her. This is something more. And the jury's got to determine whether or not that statement is even true.
I said, Colin, I love you, buddy, but you can't have those kinds of thoughts because you will cause them to become reality.
One by one, state witnesses stepped forward, painting a grim picture of the night Catherine was stabbed.
What were they doing, in conjunction with each other?
Well, he was standing on the driver's side, and then she was talking, and her hands were going. She says, I heard her say, let go of my hair, you're hurting me. And he reached up and opened the door, and they went inside, pulled her inside.
When you came into contact with the defendant, how would you describe his demeanor?
He was emotionless.
Is it a fair statement that he has no wounds on his hands at all?
Right, I did not see any wounds on his hands.
The problem in the state's case is she drives to him. She was clearly angry with him. She made threats at him, but she wanted to fix it. Did that escalate in a way that in the past it's shown it escalated and got out of hand because all of a sudden a knife got between them?
When you look at the wound on the neck, it would appear that it took quite some force. Jury instructions on intent in a murder case say that intent can be formed in an instant. The premeditation in this case that they were really trying to show was the statements that he made about wanting to kill his mother, slitting her throat, saying to the grandmother, oh, I just want a peaceful life.
What was the manner of death?
In this case, the manner of death is homicide. This wound was inflicted by another person.
However, the defense pushes back against the prosecution's case with intense cross-examination.
When was it that you say Colin told you that he wanted to slit his mother's throat?
I believe it was 4 months before she was murdered.
Did you ever call the police about this statement that you claim Colin made to you?
No.
Colin told you multiple times that he didn't feel safe going home, correct?
Correct.
Y'all kept saying, you gotta go home, because you didn't think he met the criteria to be re-Baker acted, right?
Correct.
Once he said, I'm afraid I'll hurt or kill my mom or my grandma, you guys immediately put him back in the facility, right?
Absolutely, it's a homicidal statement.
Right, and that appeared to be his goal the whole time, was to get put back in the facility rather than going home with mom or grandma.
I don't know what his intention was.
First thing from the defense side is you start with the easy one. There's no kidnapping here. He didn't grab his mother from her house, throw her in the trunk of the car, drive her to the house, drag her up the steps, and kill her. Well, if you don't have kidnapping, maybe you don't have murder.
Every time that Colin said, either in your presence or on the camera footage that you've reviewed, that he might hurt his mom or he was afraid he would hurt his mom, he prefaced that statement by saying, if she hits me, or if she comes at me, or if she attacks me, I'm afraid I'll hurt her. Correct?
Yes, ma'am.
So he never said, I just want to kill my mom for no reason whatsoever.
No, ma'am.
The defense relies on one single witness of their own, Colin's grandmother, Susan Detman.
Do you remember there being a period in January of 2024 where Colin was with you for several weeks and Kathy didn't remember that he had gone with you?
Yes.
Do you know what was going on with Kathy at that time?
She was taking pills. She just didn't want to have her life. She was drinking excessively. She called me. She said, don't bring Colin back. I never want to see you or Colin again.
She admitted to even her own mother that she had pulled a gun on her son. That, in and of itself, is an eyebrow raiser. That's something that I think may have very much resonated with the population of this county. A mother pulling a firearm on her son, for whatever reason, the fact that the mother had been suicidal, the defense had tons to work with in this case and engaged in a pretty effective character assassination of Catherine Griffith.
Have you ever witnessed Kathy not being able to control her temper.
Yes.
Have you ever personally witnessed Kathy engage in a physical act of violence towards Colin?
I know that there was a fight at the house in Port Charlotte, and the fight started because she was beating him with a belt and making him do push-ups.
When you say that she beat him with a belt, were you actually there for
Yes,
that?
I was.
Did Kathy have a reputation within your family as being violent?
Yes.
It was interesting to me that they used the victim's mother to almost give the jury permission to acquit him. Because basically, well, this is arguably the person affected most by her death. And she believes her grandson. So she's asking you not to convict her grandson. And she will be doubly victimized by this.
The defense makes its final appeal, arguing that Collin Griffith acted not with malice, but arguably, in some sense, of self-defense.
Kathy is not exactly reliable in what she says. She makes things up. She is unpredictable. She is erratic and goes into rages.
The defense has to kind of thread the line. You have to conclude that Kathy Griffith is the bad actor here, that Collin Griffith is really the victim, and that he was in fear for his life, and that's why he had to kill her.
You heard him on the body-worn camera footage. I don't want to kill her, but if she attacks me, I will defend myself. The state has proved nothing of significance beyond a reasonable doubt to you, except that Colin and his mom had a very disturbed relationship. And also perhaps that they never should have been living together.
They did not want to say that this was definitely a self-defense scenario. They walked the line between accidental, suicide, and self-defense. And that's a lot of gray area to have reasonable doubts when there's only two people in the room.
They have failed to prove beyond a reasonable doubt that Colin did anything other than defend himself against his mother.
The weight of Colin's fate now shifts to the jury. Following an 11-hour deliberation, jurors return to the courtroom, verdict in hand.
As to count 1, the defendant is not guilty. As to count 2, the defendant is not guilty.
My personal theory is that in the deliberation room, the jurors all kind of looked at each other and said, I have no idea what the real dynamic here was. I've heard this testimony, I've heard that testimony, I have her dad testifying against Colin, I have her mom testifying against her. And in those types of circumstances, if the jurors don't know, then they cannot convict a defendant.
You hear about parricide, which is killing both of your parents, but usually it's in the same incident, not separate parricides split apart by time. He's never been tried for his father's death. And most states have no statute of limitations on murder. I don't know if we're going to see him prosecuted in Oklahoma now that he's been acquitted of this one, but it will be very interesting to see if that actually ends up coming to fruition at all.
A couple of words come to mind. First, it's a tragic case. It also underscores the limits of what our system can do to try and prevent that type of a tragedy, especially in a relationship in the home, even despite cries for help. And I think it underscores also the need to identify toxicity in relationships and find a way to deal with them effectively so that the results don't end violently.
It's a conclusion many didn't see coming. Collin Griffith saying it was survival, not malice, that drove his actions here. And ultimately, it was up to 12 strangers to decide what they believed. And in the end, they decided he deserved to walk free. You may not agree with this decision, but we have to respect it. That's all we have for you here on this episode of Prime Crime. Everybody, thank you so much for joining us. I'm Jesse Weber, and as always, stay safe.